Right. Good evening, lovely people, from wherever you are watching us around the world. It's Mark Wilkinson here, the author of Life Remixed, of course, the international bestseller that it is now. I'm going to be joined tonight by a wonderful guy, a good friend, as he's become in the last few years, and one of the top property sourcing companies from around the UK, Performance Properties, is actually Peri Sophos' baby. So Peri's going to be here tonight with us. And we're going to talk about Chapter 9. It's book club. So we're talking about Chapter 9 of Life Remixed. And Chapter 9 of Life Remixed is called For the Love of Money, which, if some of you may remember, is an OJ song. I will sing a little bit if you want me to. Money, 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 money. Anyway, there you go. You know the one I'm talking about. So, I've got Peri Sophos joining us. Like I say, I've met Peri through Kevin Green and the KGW network, and Peri runs a fantastic company called Performance Properties. Let's bring him in and let's have a chat about money and property and all the other good stuff that goes around it. Let me bring him in. How you doing, Peri?
Hey, how's it going, Mark? You all right?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. Where are you joining us from in the world right now?
Yeah, excuse the messy office, but I'm in the Performance Property head office at the moment, so action that takes place behind the scenes. But I'm in the head office of Performance Properties at the moment, Mark.
Based in South Wales, of course.
Based in South Wales is where we run the tight ship that we do it with Performance Properties. Yeah,
100%. And obviously we're going to touch on what you do with the business and everything else as well, because it's such a good business. It's helped Emma and I grow into property, mostly in South Wales we've bought, but I know you cover a lot of the UK. So we'll talk about all of that. But before we do, I'll just say to you on camera, you're my favourite South African, of course. And of course, you did mention that you weren't disappointed about the Champions League result on Saturday. Can I say that?
Absolutely. I say congratulations to you, Mark. Congratulations to Chelsea. And as I already mentioned, I was actually in the pub on Saturday shouting for Chelsea, and I can honestly say that. So once again, to all the Chelsea football fans out there, huge congratulations and well deserved.
Thank you, mate. And that's an absolute gentleman there. That's a proper football fan. That's a proper fella. You know what I mean? Actually congratulating another team. And I would say the same for Liverpool. But you know what? No. But do you know what's funny? Do you know what's funny about this as well? What's really funny is that I actually, at the weekend, I felt a bit deflated after the victory. I felt a bit deflated. And the reason why is because the time before, 9 years ago, we had 100,000 people on the street. It was a massive celebration. Everyone was going mad. It was incredible. And that was such a beautiful moment. And now this nothing. And I finally commiserate. With all the Liverpool fans with like no celebration for winning the league. Like, it's just terrible.
We still have to have a celebration. So do the Chelsea fans. So hopefully soon, eh?
We will, mate. We will. Yeah, let's hope soon. Exactly right. So, look, Peri's an absolute property expert, and I've got loads of stuff I want to cover with him tonight. We will just touch on, obviously, Chapter 9, like I said, of Life Remixed. I've got 3 quotes that I always start the chapter with some quotes. I've got 2 from Bob Proctor and 1 from Kevin Green. So, Bob Proctor says, money makes you more of what you already are, which I think is a good one. I love this one as well. Love people and use money. Many people might get that the wrong way around, and it's not a good place to be at all. And then this one from Kevin, as we well know, don't look at the price of the shovel when you're digging for gold.
Absolutely.
So how did you meet Kevin?
So I met Kevin actually back in 2004. That is when I decided to get involved in property, well, at least get educated, because I always had a passion for property. I've always had a passion for computers, IT, kind of an IT nerd, technology, love everything about technology. Still love technology, but back in 2004, I knew. I suppose it's my background being a South African. Is in South Africa, you kind of like if you don't make it, you're on the streets, literally. Like you're actually on the streets. You've got holding a cardboard box saying, please help, give me money. So one cannot picture themselves in that situation, or at least one wants to prevent themselves from being in that situation. So that was always I think, installed in me and grown up. And while I was growing up, that I always had to think about multiple streams of income. That was a big thing for me and a big driving force in my life, because I didn't want to ever rely just on a job where I knew you can get fired, businesses can go under, you lose your job, and then what happens, So in 2004, I set myself with my wonderful wife, Debbie, to understand more about when we moved from South Africa to the UK, which I moved in 2003. So in 2004, we kind of stumbled across an advert in the Metro on our way into London. And it was then that we decided to get involved in property and try and undertake and get more education. So education was a big thing for us, to get more information, to understand more. Because I think, if you don't understand things, then you get gripped by that horrible word called fear. And the only reason you're fearful is because you don't understand something. So for me, it's quite simple. Take the fear away, understand it, make a plan and attack it, and then go for it. But you have to be passionate about it, as you know, Mark. So, yeah.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, you've really carved out like a special place along the way there, because you've created this company, Performance Properties. Tell us a bit more about obviously what you do all around the UK, etc.
Yeah, well, I mean, Performance Properties was I didn't just one day kind of say, hey, obviously let's create the company. But what actually happened was I decided to get myself comfortable first and sort myself out first, because I always heard, sort yourself out first and then you can help others, and it's very true. I suppose it's like another saying I used to think was useless, but then I really understood it was not, and that was, your network. Your net worth is as worth as your network, So get involved in a good network, and that would really relate to your net worth over time. And I thought that was nonsense. But as time's gone on and I networked with the right people, my net worth has also grown. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I first got myself out the rat race, and that means I started investing in property, specific strategies that I felt comfortable with, which was really like the beginner type of stuff, baby buy to lets, a few flips, a buy, fix up and sell on. And then I was buying properties for cash flow, because that was what I wanted to do, was create passive income to replace my income and my salary, so that if I wanted to, I could quit my job. If I wanted to keep it, I could. But as long as all my expenses were obviously taken care of, and that included one awesome holiday a year. So that was the car, the mortgage, one awesome holiday a year, food on the table, spending money, so to say, it's really just to live quite comfortably every month. Then I knew, well, job done in that sense. That was the first level I wanted to get to. So I did get to that level in 2011, which was an awesome day. That was a day we popped the champagne, celebrated, pat on the back, well done, top scenario. Went into Barclays Bank at the time, handed in my resignation, never forget it. And then they were trying to tell me, listen, we can give you an increase, we can do this, we can do that. But it was like, no, I don't need it. But it was a great day. So it was from that experience and how I learned to find deals, how I learned to negotiate, how I learned to build rapport with specific people, how I learned to, when I got a property, how to refurbish it, how to project manage it. All these things kind of compiles the whole business of, if you want to call it, a sourcing, or what Performance Property does today. And as time went on, I started realizing I was finding more deals than I could actually buy, so more properties that I could buy. And then, what I was doing in the early days is I was just turning them down and saying, oh, I don't have the money, and I'd leave it until one night back in, I don't know when it was, early, 2000, and call it maybe, 11, 12, around that point, I started, the kind of a light bulb went on a second. I'm sure through the network that I have, there are people who would probably want this deal because I think it's a good deal. I just don't have the money for the deal. So I decided to package the deal up with all the numbers. So we, everything that it says on the tin is there. You can't hide anything from anyone, obviously, in the world we live in. Otherwise, you're going to get caught out very quickly. So there's no point trying to do that. It's quite silly to do those things. So I would package it up, send it to people, and then the next thing, they were then buying. They bought the deal, and I charged them money for that, and I created the sourcing company. So it was really around 2014, 15, 16 where we started really building the business up, and now it's 2021, and we've probably sourced more than, I would probably say, more than about 22, 23 million pounds worth of property deals today. But that's at 50, 60, 70 grand's worth. So I think the numbers at around 500 odd deals to this point that we've sourced on, negotiated, taken it through the refurbishment stage onto either sell it on or to keep it. So we manage that whole process start to finish for investors who were like me. You know, I was in a job, as you were too, Mark, all day. And we all know the biggest killer is no time, lack of time. So it's all good to get knowledge, but then if you don't have the time to go out and view, because it's quite difficult to get out there, view the properties, go there, get the refurbishment quotes, meet the builders, it's time consuming. You know, people think you just wave maybe a magic wand and it happens, but it doesn't. So I know back in the day, when I was on the training course, there was a guy, Andrew, who I worked with in the, or should I say, I met him in the training course that I was involved with. And I remember him leaving, going to one of the towns, to the wonderful town, Mark, of Grimsby, of all places. Can you believe it? And I will never forget it, because when he told me he was going to Grimsby, I just thought to myself, yeah, that must be quite a terrible place with a name called Grimsby. But nonetheless, you know, I tried London, I struggled, moved to Grimsby. And then I said to Andrew, listen, Andrew, man, why don't you, while I'm stuck in work, go and find me deals? This is what I'm looking for. If you can find these deals for me, I'll pay you money. And he was like, you'll pay me money? I was like, of course, because while I'm stuck in a job, you're going to help me get out the rat race, so to say. So you can help me in that respect. So, you know, long story short, that's what he did. And he started then project managing it for me. And that's kind of how, through the help with Andrew and how I worked with him back in the day, that's why I thought, well, look, now I got myself to a good position. I've proved that it works. Now let me create an honest, reliable, and ethical company that can do the same for other people who have maybe some cash, but don't have the time to go and view, but they want to create that passive income. So that's kind of, you know, performance properties in a nutshell. Goes a bit deeper than that, but that's what we do.
Yeah, so I mean, it's worked perfectly for Emma and I. Obviously, we've got a number of properties down in South Wales now. We've worked with yourself very closely, and it does work really well. But I think the thing about it is, like, the job is literally just over broke, isn't it? Because that's where it will keep you. And if you can be cash rich but time poor, and if you're stuck in a position like my first property deal down in South Wales, I went down there 3 times. Once was to make sure it was real, because that was what I was advised to do. Just check that it's all good. The second time was to sell the builders, like, can we just get a shift on a little bit, builders? Come on. And the third time was to sell it, and it was really something. Really, you know, it was a great thing for me to do as I was preparing my time to leave the just over broke and get moving forward. Now, there is a lot of people. I've done obviously this chapter on money in the book. There's a lot of negativity around money. A lot of people would be negative about it. A lot of people will make, like, I hear a lot, I'm not interested in money. And I always say to people, that means you haven't got any at the moment, right? Because ultimately, let's not make excuses. You know, money does keep the world moving. It keeps us all going. We get it by adding value and giving service. You know, money is not the root of all evil, is it? I mean, at the end of the day, you need money to live, right?
Absolutely. I mean, well, what I would normally say to people who say, and kind of not happy, or you mention money and they go, I don't need it, and they kind of try and put you down or put money down or whatever. Normally, I would relate that down to past hurts. Maybe a mother, maybe a father, or maybe something went wrong in the family where it's caused a lot of hurt. You know, money's hurt someone through bad times, through painful times, through times that has maybe left them still very hurt to this day and with sleepless nights. So when something like that is associated to that pain, you're not going to like it. So at the end of the day, you know, it's about probably sorting your mental part out to understand that, you know, you got to get through it. And what happened to maybe your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, whoever, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to happen to you. And that's when that fear thing, you know, I call it, kicks in and starts playing with your brain. So for me, it's about sorting that out and understanding, just because something bad happened to your dad, your mother, your whatever. And that's what happened to me. You know, my father, unfortunately, had massive strokes at the age of 49. And at age 14, legitimately, I ended up looking after my father, and I still do to this day. I've even moved him to Wales. He now lives on my property, on a little flat that we built for him. The next move is now getting my mother. And, it was tough, trying to look after parents where you with your mates and they all got money. And here I am, the poor kid on the block looking after his parents. It was embarrassing. I could have gone two ways and said money absolutely is terrible and look what it's done. But it was actually ill health that caused my dad to lose everything. Not his stupidity in a sense like that. But the fact is I had to work through that. And I did. And eventually my biggest fear, if you call it that, was I never want what happened to me to happen to my children. So for me, it was a big driving factor to go and make money. But I certainly don't worship money. That's not my God. I don't worship money. That I can assure you. But like you say, money it does put food on the table. It can pay for a nice holiday, and it can give you a decent lifestyle if you want it. And money is not that difficult to make if you understand the concepts of business and I suppose just getting rid of that fear factor and getting that knowledge and taking baby steps. But it's really not the root of all evil, but it can be if you make it that way, isn't it?
Well, that goes back to the quote before, that money makes you more of what you already are. So if you're a bad person and you make a lot of money, you can be a tremendously bad person, right?
Really bad person.
If you're a good person and you make millions, you can be a philanthropist, you can be amazing, you can help and do all sorts of stuff. So it does come down to the individual. It's got nothing to do with money. Money's just a bit of paper or a credit card. It's nothing, it's an inanimate object that we put emotion onto, don't we? And when emotion comes into it, it can be a bit messy at times, and that's, as you say very rightly, that it can run through families for generations even, I've got some messages coming in. Emma's my good lady wife says, network with the right people and your net worth will grow. Nice, Peri. So she liked that quote, Peri. That was good. Diana's saying, good evening, guys. I'm a bit late to MSIs, but better late than never. Looking forward to learning. Thank you. So that's cool. Thanks, Diana, and thanks, Emma, for both being here as well. Look, I put a couple of things in the book here. 4 guaranteed ways to go broke. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah, do it.
Addictions. Yeah. Check. I did that. No dreams. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of dreams in there. Toxic relationships. Yeah, I had a pretty toxic relationship with myself, to be fair, as well. And then a lack of discipline. And people have quite a negative thing about discipline, but actually in the property business, you've got to be disciplined, haven't you?
Yeah. 100%. I think in life you have to be disciplined. Whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to, make money, where you want to be better in business, whether you want to be good at a relationship, have a good relationship. I think discipline is really something that we as human beings, need to, you're going to bring that into your life, and where do you need to be disciplined? Like, for example, if you want to lose weight, where do you need to be disciplined on eating the right food? Don't go and drink a double chocolate milkshake and have a pizza for lunch every day, because that's just not one way you're going to lose weight. And disciplined is in fact all those 4 you mentioned there. You got to get that right. I totally agree with that. And being disciplined is very important.
And obviously we've met as Kevin Green KGW coaches. That's how we've met, from a few years ago, and that's how we've worked together and do business together and everything else. But you're a great coach. I know you're a great coach. You coached Emma and I in the last few of our sessions. But it's great, it's so much, that coaching is so much about, getting people into the right space, isn't it? Because everyone's got these dreams, but sometimes people just need to go back to basics a little bit and actually build themselves up. Would you agree?
100%. I mean, some people I can see when I'm speaking to people, it's either I understand they may be struggling a bit on the mind side, and you got to get that side right before you can go into, hey, look, this is how you do it. Because like if you came to me on property, Peri, can you make me rich in property? My answer is going to be yes. I 100% can. There's no doubt about it. But if you don't believe that you can make it and you can do it, then you need to actually stop believing that first. But of course, you need to take action. And that's why, with me, there's action steps and action plans on everything that you need to do. But you got to have a positive mindset. You can't wake up. You know what I do with my children every day, Mark, and I do it to myself too, is I say to them every single morning, name me 3 things that you're thankful for. Every morning I do it with them. Every single morning. Some mornings it might be, I'm thankful for the blue skies today. I'm thankful for the beautiful home we live in. I'm thankful for that we had dinner last night as a family together. It's really what the heart feels and what you're thankful for. But if you wake up and you just miserable, and you kind of like live that being miserable, you're going to remain miserable. So what you got to do is you got to break that kind of like thinking, and so that's why I always say to my children, name me 3 things you're thankful for. And some mornings they might struggle and go, I'm not sure, but then it already shows me where their mindset is, and it's about readjusting their mindset, because when you get that right, you can do so much more. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're positive and you're clear in your thought process, you can adapt to things so much better, and you can react to things so much better than if you are negative. And I know some people struggle with that, but then that's why if you're a coach with me, I would try and get that, sorted first before we take you down the journey on the steps of, hey, understand the numbers, your due diligence, your strategies, pros, cons, expected returns, whatever the case may be. It's let's get this right. Definitely.
Absolutely right. It starts with mindset. It really does. And everyone's got dreams. Everyone wants to achieve stuff. But if you get knocked off course even slightly, and I talk a lot about purpose. You talk about the why a lot, don't you? About why you're doing it. My purpose is to enjoy, knowledge, inspire, and create. And when I know that, as long as I'm doing, putting roofs over people's heads in buy-to-let properties, brings joy to those people. They've got somewhere to live, and so that's in line with my purpose. It's in line with my why and what I do. And that's why I've connected so well with you over the last few years, because we both have that similar kind of mindset of, we're doing it not just for everyone else, but for our families, for our people around us. But the main purpose is, if you give a good service to people, you'll get more work, and if you do it gratefully, with gratitude, you actually attract more. If you can't be grateful for what you've already got, then what makes you think you'll be happy with more?
Yeah, 100%. You won't be. That's the answer to that. You simply won't be. I mean, there's many multi-millionaires out there who are miserable. And I feel sorry for them because they're miserable and they're multi-millionaire. So that's why, once again, money's not everything, but money's nice to have because it buys you a few things. But don't worship it. Don't make it your God. Because as soon as you do that, as far as I'm concerned, you're heading down the wrong path.
Yeah, absolutely right. Money's the servant.
Yeah. Yeah,
money's the servant. Like you and me and the people watching it, we're the masters of it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, money works for me. I don't work for money. That's for sure.
That's right. But so many people in the world, get that completely the wrong way around, don't they?
Yeah.
And the moment, I always remember you talking about the moment that you left your job, or the reason that you left your job was to do with one of the bosses that told you something about a holiday, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there were many reasons, but that was kind of the cherry on the top. I'd booked a beautiful holiday away, planned it with my wife, and went into work, said, look, here it is, I'm going away. And he said, no, you can't go. And I was like, I've paid for it. I'm going. It's a special occasion for my wife and I, and I'm going. And he was, no, you can't take it. And I said, no, I looked at the roster and there's no one else away. Yeah, but it's a critical part of time of the business and you can't go. And I was like, no, you can't tell me that I can't go away. There's no one else. It's just me. I booked a special time with my wife. And I remember that really annoyed me big time. And I think it was one of the catalysts which, got me going where there's no ways I'm going to be working for someone who tells me when I can or can't go on holiday, So I think that was one of my driving forces, one of. But it definitely annoyed me.
Yeah, but it's a good one, isn't it? Because sometimes that little bit of like, I don't want to call it anger really, but that little bit of frustration can actually be used or dissatisfaction. That little bit of dissatisfaction can actually be used as a driving force to like propel you into like wanting to learn more. I mean, I speak a lot about Kevin, of course, and Kevin studied with Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, you've got Kevin, and now you've got you and me. sitting here having a lovely chat about gratitude and property. And I mean, you are an absolute specialist in property. That's your number one thing. Give people a bit of an overview of performance properties, the kind of areas you work in, and then the sort of deals that come through. Just an overview of what you.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, wherever we pop up areas, we do a lot of analysis and due diligence to understand that if we're going to source deals, find deals to negotiate and pass on to investors for either capital or passive income return on their money, the areas need to be decent. There needs to be something happening, or there needs to be something coming in the future. So we look at specific information out in the UK that we can get through the resources that we've got. We analyze it, we study, we understand if there's regeneration areas, we understand if grants are coming in, we understand what the future plans of specific areas are, we understand what employment's happening, crime statistics. We do a lot of analysis and undertaking. For example, I mean, right now, one of the branches we've got, which we were doing very, very well with, is our Blackpool branch of all places. And if you had asked me 10 years ago, would you invest in Blackpool? I'd honestly told you not a chance, never, not a chance. I recently, right now, in January the 15th, through one of my limited companies, just bought, a one block of 12 apartments in Blackpool. Why? Because I fully understand what's going on. I totally understand what's happening in the area. I totally understand the regeneration and already in play at the moment, and the huge amounts of money being spent. I understand the returns, and obviously everything that's going on in the background. But then it's all good getting an asset, but then you need to have someone good manage it, right? So there's all these things that come into play. So we've done that in all the areas that we operate in, and that would be Blackpool, Preston, Liverpool, Manchester. We've got the Midlands at the moment now, which is a bit of a startup at the moment. And then we've got Devon, Plymouth, and we've got the whole of South Wales totally covered. We've also got potentially a branch popping up in Newcastle, and one which we're in discussion with at the moment in Scotland, in Glasgow. So we pretty much brings us to around 10 branches throughout the UK, and all of them report into this head office where I sit, and we look and investigate every single deal that comes through. Of course, as you would know, Mark, we've also got a full platform on the background where we've got due diligence tools, number calculators. You can see the deals on the back of our website. Click on it, get PDF overviews of sold comparables, flood zones. And that's everything I've learned over the years, and I've kind of put it into my own program to fetch all that data, and all of it, the data we stream and get is from government websites, so it's proper legit data. So yeah, in a nutshell, we pretty much my goal is to be, I'll be quite truthful with you, the best sourcing company in the UK. From a service delivery perspective, to the point that if there are problems, we will make sure that we deal with those problems and deliver on those and get it rectified, So I'm not saying that we live in a perfect world, but we're trying to make it as perfect as we possibly can.
I know that, and I appreciate, you're a big-hearted guy, and you actually care about your clients and the property investors that come to you, which I love, and I really think that's positive. I mean, let's just touch a little bit on the more challenging sides of property investing, shall we say? So the things that kind of jumped out at me are obviously, the sourcing of the deals takes quite a bit of your time and your team's time to be able to make that work. And of course, the other side is the builders. Sometimes you're going to have problems with, and at the moment, even I know there's a boom of builders, and you can't get the builders you need and all that kind of stuff. I mean, but are those probably the two biggest sort of areas where you get challenged quite often, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, look, of course, COVID was a massive challenge. That's something no one would have ever thought of. Trying to view properties, you can't see, owners won't let you in. Huge challenges there, but definitely finding deals is a challenge. The right deals, because I can source anything I want, but it's got to be the right deal. And I suppose maybe that's, I believe, what separates performance properties from other sourcing companies, where we try and, I get maybe say 50 deals come through my door, and maybe we accept 5 or 6 of them. Whereas maybe others would accept 40 of the 50, which, I can't really say, but I've seen some deals we certainly wouldn't accept, and we wouldn't put it out there. But finding deals is a challenge, there's no doubt about it. So you need a very good system to do that. But that's what I train, and we on negotiating. We've got a full-on off-market deal machine that we use, plus how we build rapport with who do we build rapport with in order to receive the deals. And we've got a full training on that as well. But finding deals is obviously the biggest challenge. But then, like you say, definitely the build side of things, the refurbishment side of things is another challenge. Where, like, for example, right now in the UK, we're looking at it, huge increases on materials. As we speak right now, there's huge increases. It's not really making huge news, but if you search for it, you will find that. There's huge increases on materials. Will it last forever? No, but they are being shot through the roof. I mean, wood, as one example, as high as around 80% increase now that we have to import it from Africa because there was some issue with COVID, Brexit, and some ship and container got stuck somewhere. And it's just caused big challenges. So what happens is, of course, when you've got that and you're halfway through a refurb and materials are shooting through the roof and you've sourced a deal with a refurb of X and now it's starting to lead to something else, that becomes a challenge. That becomes something you need to deal with. And, people invest to make money, not to lose money. So our job is to make very much so that all of the investors invest with me, with us, they make money. Otherwise, what's the point? So, it's a challenge, but, life is a challenge, isn't it? We've all had our own challenges, especially, and that's Mark. I mean, how we connected because I understood your challenges and so on and so forth. But, that's life. It's full of challenges. But, yeah, in the sourcing business, the building side of things is one challenge, and finding the deals is obviously the other side. But I think, we're on top of all of that. And every day is a getting better day.
Absolutely right. And my belief is if you go into business with the right attitude, whatever business you decide to go into, but if you go in with the right attitude, largely you're going to do well. But I think properties, it's always been seen. I mean, even my granddad was like bricks and mortar, Mark, bricks and mortar. And it's just like it's just seen as a very good safe investment. And certainly I've seen some people do some crazy stuff around Bitcoin and stuff like that, right? And like people posting stuff around Bitcoin. I'm like, I put my life savings into Bitcoin and it's just plummeted. I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, for me, property is absolutely, like, I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's the foundation, right? Excuse the pun, right? But it's the foundation. For me, the start of anything you want to do in life, if you get your foundation solid, I only really learned this in a few years ago from yourself, from Kevin. I only really got myself into a place where it was like, right, I live in London, but I can invest down in South Wales because I've got a great team of people that are down there and I can connect with them all and I enjoy all their company and I like them all. And so, and it's trustworthy, it's positive, the results come. And so once I realized that, and I could buy properties that are not for properties for us to live in, but properties for the lovely people of Wales to live in. But that then creates that foundation that you then have passive income pretty much, apart from your challenge here and there, once it's let, you pretty much have passive income coming in that you can then focus on. I could write my book. Do you know what I mean? It's like I could do more creative things. I think it's massively important for people to think about this in more depth. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's asset classes, not pie in the sky asset classes or something. It's about real solid asset classes. And maybe, Bitcoin, I suppose it's the unknown and where it's going, and people would obviously, they got their views and there's many people who made millions and millions from it. But it's just, to me, it's because I suppose, there's nothing really backing it in a sense, which makes it a little bit more.
Well, I've got a little bit of money. I've got a few grand sitting in Bitcoin, and let's see what happens, right?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, if you can make money from it, bonus. But even in something on that, I know where I'll eventually land up putting my money into property. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, and that's kind of the things we would probably teach, I suppose, is make money, make cash, and put it into a safe haven. And for me, one of the biggest safe havens is property. If you know how to do it properly, why? Because property is through history, it's only gone one way, and that's up. Although every market has got its ups and downs, but the trajectory, it started here, so to say, and it's landed up there over time. Property just keeps going. And we look at the UK as an example where we are, and I've looked at other markets, the Netherlands. I've seen markets, especially like the Netherlands and the UK. There's only so much land. You know what I mean? And there's only so much land you can build on, in a sense. which makes it, a very powerful asset, obviously, to invest in. As long as, and the thing about also the UK is the numbers and the market in the UK is one of the best markets in the world to invest in property. There's no doubt about that.
That's right.
And property for me is definitely a safe haven.
We're sitting on if we get it right and we're trained and we're coached and we know how to do this, we're sitting on a gold mine pretty much in the UK. As long as we can get into the market and do it properly, and you've got good people around you that will support you and see you through the process. There's no reason not to do it.
No.
I think it's fear, like you said. Fear stops a lot of people. Now, as far as a lot of the performance property deals, I mean, you've obviously put a lot of work into sourcing those, and you and all your branches and your teams put a lot of work into sourcing those. But largely, we're looking for, I want to say 40% below market value, but even if it's 30 or 20% below market value with a potential 20% add-on on the other side, yes, that's where your target market is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, there's two ways you're going to buy. Always, you want some discount, some under the market value discount, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40, the numbers must stack up. But if you're getting it at 10%, as an example, which is not very, low under the below market value, under the market value. But if you get it at 10%, we're always trying to see how we can add value so that on the back end, where it really counts on your refinance or when you're selling it, that's where you're going to make your money. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you do make your money when you buy, not when you sell, contrary to what people believe. I mean, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. I'll repeat that. Let that sink into your brains. But at the end of the day, that is when you make your money. So buy correctly. And if you are getting it at, say, 10% under the market, but you're buying it as a 2-bed, but then you're converting it to a 4-bed and, say, selling it at a 4-bed price, and of course there needs to be demand. There's no point adding value from a 2-bed to a 4-bed, but then no one wants a 4-bed and people only want 2 and 3 beds. So there's a lot of thinking to go into it. So yes, at the end of the day, you've got to buy correctly. That's it. Whether you're buying it at 10%, 20, 30, 40%, it's about buying correctly. It's about buying correctly that the numbers stack up. It's all about the numbers, making sure the numbers stack up and understanding the things like demand and all these good things build around it. Do you know what I'm saying? So yes, but I'll say it once again, it's you make your money when you buy.
Yeah, absolutely, you do. And I think one of the things that I learned, sitting in the training room with you, Kevin, Ian Spreadbury, and the rest of the guys there, was just about how to I'd learned how to manage myself through Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, all those. I'd learned how to manage myself and my emotions and how to actually get myself moving forwards. And then I was still in the just over broke in the corporate world. And I sat in the training room and I just watched all of you. And I was like, well, I really like Kevin, so I'm going to work with him somehow. Something's going to happen there. And then I was like, I really like Peri. He'll be coaching me somehow, and he'll source me some properties. I really like Ian, and he'll be my accountant. And I literally just sat there and was just like, right, all these people are here. It's literally on the doorstep. And it was a beautiful thing. And it was a really great moment for me and for Emma to actually be in that position of actually being right. Okay, there's so much here that we can take on. And I think one of the things that, we had to be very cautious of was we did a good few training sessions before we got into buying a deal. And it's very much about strategy, isn't it? It's like you've got to be. Yeah. I mean, I was going to talk about goal setting as well, right? Goal setting, your strategy, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. You need to have that pretty clear, right? Yes,
100%. I mean, maybe I'll give a golden nugget on this. I normally use the word, the 3 letters SAP, SAP. And what I normally say is on SAP is the S stands for strategy. So, you're going to be very clear on your strategy. And then because certain people, they're not very clear on their strategy, and you've got to be. And what does that mean? It means am I going to be buying a property to buy, fix up and sell, known as a flip? Or am I going to be buying a property to buy and hold for cash flow? Because property you buy really 2 main ways: buy, fix up and sell, or buy and hold for cash flow. But then it can be split into many different ways. Of course, you've got the other creative lease options and rent to rents and all these other ones. But I'm talking about the main kind of strategies is normally buy and hold or buy and sell. And then, of course, you can say buy and sell. It could be just a single house, or you could take a pub and convert it, or you can buy a hotel and convert that, whatever. There's so many different ways under those two headings, so to say. But for me, it's clarity on your strategies and really drive forward maybe with two. Why? Because if you try and take 2, 3, 4, 5 strategies, you lose focus. So we want to be focused and remain focused. So we look at around 2 strategies, potentially a third, what you're going to do in the future, maybe 5, 6 years, you can think about it. That's all cool. But focus on no more than 2 strategies. And then once you're clear on the strategies you want to do, that you believe you're comfortable with and you want to have as your investment, so to say, then the A stands for the area. Then you look for the area that best suits your strategies. You understand? So then once you've got the area, then what do we lastly look for is the P. That's the property. And in the property, we look then for the property in the area that best suits the strategy. So of course, in the area, and when we're relating to the strategy, there needs to be 2 things that needs to work. Is number 1, the numbers must stack up. And number 2, there needs to be demand for that strategy. You understand? So a lot of people make mistakes, Mark, is what they go and do is they go and buy a property and then they try and force a strategy, but they never check the demand and they've made a mistake. And then they're stuck and they go, oh, this property thing doesn't work. But if I could give you 3 simple things there, SAP, strategy, area, property, already there, you're going to make a huge difference on the way you look at things. And then to the previous statement, you make money when you buy, you're going to buy correctly. You understand?
Yeah.
You're making sure the numbers are there. So strategy is very important to get clear and focused on first. Then it's the area that best suits the strategy. Then it's the property in the area that fits that strategy.
You find that below market value, or that where other property where you can add some value. But I mean, I speak to a lot of people in London and the Southeast. Obviously, being a Londoner. I speak to a lot of people in London and the Southeast, and it's kind of like, and I'll be honest, I probably fell into this trap myself when I was younger. It was almost like buying property outside of London, kind of like, like I'm not sure. I don't know where to start. I think that's probably I don't know where to start. How do I start? What do I do here? And I think that like someone like you, obviously with the goal of being the best property sourcing company in the UK, which I love, and you're not far off that already if you're not that number 1 already, mate. But the bottom line is that having that goal, but then understanding that there's companies like you, and obviously you as an individual as well, that you've made this strategy work UK wide. All people have got to do is like reach out, right, and talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know me, Mark, I'm a very approachable person, and I've probably given way more in my life than I probably received. But, I'm comfortable with that. I'm happy about that. And, there's sometimes in a day there's been 20, 30, 40, 50 people reaching out to me, and I try and take as many calls as I possibly can to speak to as many people as I can. Not only that, if I can't do it, I've got my right-hand lady, my left-hand man type scenario, and you can tap into the team. And we're generally very approachable in that respect. Because I believe, if you can help someone else, they're going to speak about you. They'll see the honesty, the integrity, and no bull coming out someone's mouth. Because, at the end of the day, I believe in the world we live in, if you are going to be a silly person, you're going to get caught up very quickly. So, don't be silly. Just be honest, be ethical, and the world will be a very nice place.
I think you're right, mate. I think it's about morals, it's about ethics, it's about that gratitude. It's about, I wake up every day, being grateful for so many things now. Even when I had nothing, I was bankrupt, as you know, when I was like 38, 39. In fact, I love Kevin and what he does. Jeffrey Lee's story. Lee's story. I mean, what a guy Jeffrey is. I mean, I hope we get to see him soon. Jeffrey's from Singapore. Basically, in a nutshell, had a heart attack when he was 60. Was bankrupt. Then he came to the UK and tracked down Kevin, and I love it, Kevin and Peri. I love that. I can't remember that. He came down and he basically tracked down you guys and was like, teach me. And I mean, some of the deals he's doing now are absolutely huge, aren't they?
Massive. And that's another example of how, when Jeffrey came to myself and Kevin and with his story, and, the one thing is he was so hungry. And he had such a great attitude and an attitude to learn. He was like a sponge, he just wanted to get it all in. And then when we told him to do this, he did it. It was almost like, right, I've done that. What's the next step? And then it was like, now go and do that. Okay, I've done that. What's the next step? And then, okay, go and do that. Okay, I've done that. What's the next step? And the next thing you knew, you bought a house, flipped it, sold it. And then it was like, okay, now what's the next step? Now you go to what else? What do you want to do? And then it was okay, I want I want more cash. I want this, I want that, and then we moved him in. And then, the next thing we know, he's buying buildings in Birmingham, converting 60, 70 apartments using none of his own money, I'd like to say. So at the end of the day, sometimes not about, although the subject's about money, sometimes you don't really need money to do things because other people have got money, you understand? So it doesn't mean because you don't have money, it doesn't mean that you can't do something. Maybe there are other people that and you could be thinking, I don't know anyone, everyone's poor. But not necessarily. Maybe you got to think of 5 people you think who's got money and then ask those 5 people to think of 5 people who's got money and maybe get a list of names and you can start working it from there. But the one thing I've learned in my life is before I approach people for money is I made very sure I was very knowledgeable about what I was doing first. Because if you're not knowledgeable about what you're doing first, the first thing you do when you ask for money, you could become either desperate if you don't ask correctly, or B, you could lose credibility very, very quickly because of lack of knowledge. And therefore, you would lose trust very quickly. So if I'm going to approach someone for money, I better be very knowledgeable about what I'm going to be asking for. Because one thing is, people are going to ask questions. So you need to know how to back that up.
You've got to get, in all you do, get understanding. You've got to get educated. I mean, the first thing is to know thyself, right? It's like Greek philosophy and all that. Know thyself to start with. And then know your subject and understand, what it is. And that's what you say, don't go mad to start with. Just get 2 or 3 strategies working, get them moving. It takes it's taken like 3 or 4, probably 4 years now for Emma and I to be involved with you and the team there and building things up. And we're right on the verge of doing something really, really special, actually. And I'll talk more about that in the future. But the point is that, for us, it's a build up. Everyone wants everything now, and property doesn't work that way. It's about, doing everything making the right decisions, but being educated certainly before you go wading in, and all the stuff you're talking about with due diligence all around the country. I mean, your website, which is performanceproperties.co.uk, the back end of that is phenomenal with the all the due diligence, and that's where all your IT skills have come in, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I made sure I didn't throw that away. I utilized everything I've picked up as skills. I've implemented and made sure that it gets utilized. There's no point spending all those years and then just tossing it. It's I've kept it and made sure that we've gotten something good especially for the end client. Because as far as I've seen to date, there's not many. Well, I haven't found one site where you can do everything literally almost on one page to get all that data and all that analysis very, very quickly. Look, there's a lot of other stuff we're working on in the background, but like we said, Rome wasn't built in a day. Slowly but surely, let's get it one level and we keep growing it to get that number one sourcing achievement. That's the one thing I'm working.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but you weren't on that job, Peri. And certainly with the IT stuff, that's transferable skills, isn't it? Ultimately, it's like, obviously I've written like Life Remixed, right? And that was literally going from music into all the stuff I'm doing now via the construction industry and everything else. But you go through it, you remix your own life, you go through these changes, and it's about being adaptable and actually like grabbing hold of stuff. And when you see an opportunity, really going for it for the right reasons.
Yeah, the right reasons is important. But everything that I do, I make sure I de-risk as much as possible through knowledge. But if I'm not sure, I will tap into people who I believe has that knowledge and de-risk it that way as well. So don't think for one reason that I sit here and I just buy deals and I just tap into, I still do my analysis, due diligence, de-risk everything. Every deal that comes to me has got a big fat no with an exclamation mark next to it, maybe ×3. And I need to take that from a big fat no and turn it into a yes with 3 exclamation marks. And that comes through the de-risking process and analysis. But also you can't take forever. You got to do things quickly sometimes in life. And it actually comes to Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, I remember his rich dad said to him, I think it was in Think and Grow, well, not Think and Grow Rich, that's by Napoleon Hill, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said to Robert Kiyosaki, you need to, if you're not busy doing a deal, you're busy preparing for the next deal. Robert. So that's one thing you need to be doing is if you're not doing a deal right now and you're feeling frustrated, get preparing for the next deal. And that means, prepare yourself in whichever way you need to, whether it's tapping into a reputable company that knows what they're doing and learning from them, or doing your own due diligence and that, trying to learn in some way, shape or form to get to a point that when a deal does fall on your lap, that's amazing. You're not going to be fumbling about. You're ready for it. So, one of the probably another tip I'd say to you is wherever you are, if you're feeling frustrated right now, in order to kind of get the frustration away, is prepare yourself for the deal you're waiting for, because it's coming. So prepare yourself for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michael Rogers, who's a client of mine that you may know, Michael's just saying, obviously, the repossessions, did that change today? Are people? I mean, the government have made that did it change yesterday? Okay, all right. So but I mean, one of the things we do, or certainly one of the strategies that I'm quite comfortable looking at, is if someone's in trouble, because I've been in trouble myself in the past. If someone's in trouble and if I'm in a position to help them, then I'll do everything I can to help them and stop them being repossessed. I know that's a strategy that we've discussed before. You don't need to go into great detail in that, but certainly it's something that if you're in a position to help, then you can help, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, and then some people say, yeah, but you're helping you're making money, you're taking advantage. It's not about taking advantage. It's about helping someone in a situation where, if we're talking about the repossession side of things, where you are about to potentially that person lose their home, the bailiff's going to come and take it forever, and they're going to lose, where you're going to step in and you're really going to save the day. And there's ways about going, but it really, it's once again, like we said, Mark, it's about either having, what's your heart about money? Because if you're a bad person, you're really going to treat people badly. But if you've got a good heart and your heart's in the right place, I think that will follow through in everything you do in business.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And, I wouldn't say my heart was in a bad place when I was younger, but I would say I was misguided. And I would say that I was trial and error, and I made quite a few mistakes. And I put them all in this book.
So if you haven't bought this book, ladies and gentlemen, go and buy the book so that you can learn what not to do.
Yeah, exactly. I had Marcy Shimoff from The Secret on a call a few weeks ago. And I went back to her and she stood up. She's only little, and she stood up and she went, "Thank you, Mark." She was like, "Thank you for losing everything and then telling us about it so that we don't have to go through it." I went, "There you go, Marcy."
There we go. Well, that's the thing, Mark. I mean, that's what makes me, if you want to call it, a good coach. I didn't go to coaching school, but I certainly made a lot of mistakes. And I suppose what makes me a really good coach today, if you want to call it, and run a great sourcing company, is because I'm an investor first and foremost. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, figured it all out myself. Came to the UK with like £3,500 in my bank account, and now my bank account's quite a little bit healthier than £3,500. But it's because I had to make a lot of mistakes in order to get to the point to live the lifestyle that I live right now. And I've learned a lot. I really, really have learned a lot. And I suppose that's what's so awesome, tapping into people who's got education and who's got things. As long as they're doing it and they're the real deal, then that you're going to learn a lot. And that's why people would have learned and will learn a lot from you too, Mark, because you've made a lot of mistakes. You've suffered, you've got the pain. But then what's even better is you figured it out and you went for it and you've turned it around, and your life was remixed in an amazing way. So well done to you, man.
Thank you, mate. And I feel great. I feel happy. I'm in a lovely place with a loving wife, and we're doing wonderfully well. Yes. And I just keep putting out that good vibe. I keep putting out that good vibe, putting out that good energy, and people are just responding to it in a wonderful way. And I'm really grateful. And thank you for those lovely comments. I'm just to put it out on the table. I'm grateful to have you as a friend and someone I could call upon to come and talk about wealth and property and inspiration on this call. One of my friends did say, I can't put him on the screen, but he said, "I'm absolutely loving this. It's really interesting." He said, "But why haven't you got the European Cup on your desk?"
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's a valid point, to be quite honest.
It's really, yeah. I need to get a little mini one up there. But look, let's, I like to look at, the whole chapter as a piece. We've covered a lot of stuff there. One of the things I've said about finding your passion, find your passion and then work on it. For me, I've got multiple sources of income with Emma, and everything is in line with my purpose, which is joy, knowledge, inspire, create, my why, as you call it as well. So everything I do on that multiple source of income map is completely in line with what I love to do. And that makes me passionate. And that's what gets me out of bed every day. That's what gets me buzzing. It's what gets me going. And I know you're the same.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if I'm not passionate about something, I won't do it. Simple as that. Or because I just know I'm going to waste my time and I'm just going to not be that great at it. And why do something that you're not passionate about? And turn your passion into profit. That's a saying that's out there. Turn your passion into profit. So whatever you're passionate about, you can turn that passion into profit. But first and foremost, you must be passionate. So what does that mean? It means get excited. You got to be excited. You got to be, because like I normally, when I'm teaching people, I say, like, for example, if you were wanting to become a sourcing partner with me and actively I say you got to get a thick skin. You really got to be able to get a thick skin, but the fact is, because I'm so passionate about property and I love design, I love creating things, I love finding, I love negotiating. There's so many things I get excited about. As you can probably see, I'm getting excited now.
Yeah, I like it.
18 years down the line in the game, I'm still like this. You can see the passion is, I can't make this stuff up. But passion, once you've got that, passion, it's what drives you forward with your big why. Why are you doing these things? Because there's gonna be obstacles, there's gonna be challenges. It's not are there gonna be, there will be. And the fact is, if you're not passionate about something, believe you me, when those challenges or obstacles or hurdles come your way, you're just going to go, oh, this isn't for me. It's just because you're not passionate about it. Because when you're passionate about something, you've got a big why, you're going to figure out how to do things because you want it to work. So passion is massive. You've got to be passionate. And that's why I say to my kids, name me 3 things you're thankful for, because it's first of all, be grateful. Let's be grateful. And then we've got being grateful, and then you can be passionate about something. Wow, that's going to drive you forward, because I know to get to where I've got, the challenges I've had. But even running a company like I run today, there's loads of challenges that come our way. Because I'm so passionate about it, I find solutions to everything. Because without passion, you can't turn something into profit, and you're certainly not going to be able to find solutions, because your mind's going to just not be there, right?
Absolutely right. I mean, I'm reminded when you were talking there about an Oprah Winfrey quote, which was turn your wounds into wisdom, which is very similar, turn your passion into profit. I mean, it's the same vibe. It's the same thing. And I would say, certainly from my own perspective, I was very, very passionate about house music and music as a kid and everything else. But I tell you one thing, I wasn't grateful for it. And that was my big downfall, because I lived in this kind of ego kind of, aren't I brilliant doing all this music? Everyone loved me, blah, 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 blah. And I did it for all the wrong reasons in some ways. I got caught up in all kinds of stuff that I shouldn't have got caught up in. But my passion kept me going. But when the gigs ran out and my passion was going and the gratitude wasn't there, then off the cliff. And that was the moment when I had to remix and literally dust myself off and find myself, now talking with you and all the other people, the special people that I've mentioned that I've worked with, that I love working with continually. I think that's really special. One of my other coaches, Gordon, you remember Gordon? Gordon said, "This is easy, this is simple, this is fun." And I think that's a really good way to approach life in general. You agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it should be fun. That's for sure. I'm not sure it's always simple, but you can make it as simple as you because if you think it's fun, it will be simple. So I totally get that, and then it will become easy. Do you know what I'm saying? But So it's about training that subconscious that this is easy, this is simple, this is fun. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. But definitely, for me, the why is the biggest thing, and it's about then following through, and then you got to enjoy what you're doing, right? I mean, then that's why some people are sitting there and that just over broke scenario, it's because they're not in the thing that they're passionate about, right? They're in a scenario where they're like, oh my goodness, do I really have to wake up to go to this place every day and do this? And if you are in that situation, my advice is get out of it. Find something you're passionate about. Really, I mean it, because look, I mean, Mark, with you to where you were when I first met you to where you are now, it's been very quick as far as I'm concerned. You've turned around very quick because you had the right energy, the right frame of mind. You're passionate about what you wanted to do. It's all these things we're talking about is you did it. And there is an example of it, and it's same for me sitting here. I just found that passion maybe years on, and I've been doing it. So, it's amazing that, if you can just get these little concepts and grasp them, and run with it, you can certainly find a lifestyle that you certainly enjoy.
Yeah, some people are doing just enough, aren't they? And that's not where the juice of life is. That's not where the passion of life is. It's not about doing just enough. It's actually about stretching. It's about like moving outside that comfort zone that little bit more. It's about reaching and achieving and keep going. And I love your story. I love Kevin's story. Jeffrey Lee is I'm going for Jeffrey's story. I'm going for the big stuff at some point. It might take me another 5 years or whatever, but I'm going for that big stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love my buy to let portfolio, and I'll keep growing that as well. But my aim is to just reach and reach and reach, because if you're not doing that, I mean, there's a great Bob Proctor quote that says, if you're not living on the edge, then you're taking up too much room.
Absolutely. And you got to feel comfortable where you are, because watch this space, Mark, which I haven't told you, and I don't want to mention too much, but watch in a few weeks or a month or 2 times going to be, because I'm getting involved in some pretty big deals myself at the moment, and we're looking good in maybe 2-3 weeks that will come into fruition, which is awesome. But it's taken me years to get to that point, what I'm saying. So but I really needed to feel confident. I needed to get myself right, do what I've had to do, and I've done it in phases. And then there comes a point in time when you go, right, this is the time. And when that time is, then run with it, go with it. What I'm saying? I mean, of course, de-risk and don't be unwise and all these things, but then also, if you're a bit scared, maybe feel that fear, but do it anyway. You know what I mean? And just run with it and go for it.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. It's a great little classic book. There it is on my desk.
There we go. That's all about. It's all about fear. We're always going to feel fear in some shape or form. I mean, that's life, right? But fear is for me, it's been a non-starter in my life, that word, because it can lead to so many terrible things like anxiety, depression, and I do sympathize with people who experience that. I truly do, because I've had family members hugely suffer from it. So I fully get that. But I still say, feel it, but do it, and de-risk and get knowledgeable and take your first step, baby steps, because 10 baby steps could equal one big step, and that one big step could make a big difference in your life.
Actually, that's quite interesting, because certainly the baby steps, the first parts for me was to learn about my credit rating, and actually, the major banks and credit facilities and all that kind of stuff. And that was actually a really big eye-opening experience for me, because it allowed me to understand the game. You need to know the rules of the game, and we're not going to go into the detail tonight, but you need to know the rules of the game to be able to get yourself out there and actually get moving. And I think that's what the education piece is about. When you understand it, I didn't have any understanding of it. I was a DJ running around the globe, playing a few records, thinking I was special. I didn't understand any of this stuff. And I think my mum even called it at one point. I was learning. She went, "Oh, we used to call that high finance, Mark," when I was like, "All right, whatever you want." But the point is that for me, it's very much about, it's continual learn, continual growth, and continual moving in the right direction. And I know you're a good man with a good heart, and I know you've got a great business, Peri. So yeah, look, it was an hour of our lives has gone fast very, very quickly. But let's just close it out with a few of I've got these remix opportunities that I put at the end of every chapter. I'll just read them out to you, and we've covered some of them already, but I think it's very important to just sort of reiterate them in many ways. Number one is be the best version of yourself. And what I mean by that is be the best version of yourself before you go into business. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
If you try and go into business when you're not the best version of you, then you can easily fall down.
Yeah, I mean, just love yourself, respect yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that starts by loving yourself, not being a vain human being and a big macho person who thinks you're the man or the woman. Just be humble, but love yourself. It starts with loving yourself, because if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love others? How are you going to make a difference in this world? So from me, it's always about loving yourself, respecting yourself, and then you will go into business being that right person for sure.
100%. And anyone, all the guys that are watching have heard me talk about loving yourself for the last 8 months, since I've been doing all these lives and talking about the book. Here's a man that no prep whatsoever, big businessman, big property man, just came in and said exactly the same as me. And he's out there, he's walking the walk, he's talking the talk and he's walking the walk, which is awesome, Peri. So I love that. Money makes us more of what we already are, as I've said. Money is the servant, and you are the master. Money is the tool, and freedom is the goal. Very important. This is the bit that I think that people get wrong with the just over broke, with the job. They don't understand what they're doing. They go to work and think they get money, and they're like, "Oh, that's the exchange." But actually, the way you earn money in life is to give service and add value.
Yes, definitely. Well, first of all, it starts with the terrible school system that we've got. So we can probably start off blaming the government and the school system. So it's not everyone's fault for living the just over broke scenario. But at the end of the day, me as an entrepreneur need good employees. I need good people around me, so I'm respectful for that. But also at the same time, if you want to make a difference in your life, it's about service and it's about adding value. So think to yourself, how can you add a good service? Where can you add value? How can you help people? And the rest will fall into place. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Even as an employee, you still turn up. Your employees, Peri, they turn up. As long as they give good service and they add some value to what you're doing, then you'll keep paying them.
Oh, 100%. But the great thing about the guys who I have working with me is, and number one is, we all share the same vision. We all share the same dream, and we all just as excited about coming into work. And I can see that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can see someone who's not excited. And to be honest with you, everyone knows in my office, if you're not happy, you don't want to be here, please. Then you must go, and I'll coach you to something that will make you happy, because I could never think of seeing someone miserable working for me, because that's just going to not be great, not for the business, not for the company, and not especially when you're talking to people and you're miserable. It's about being excited. It's about just trying to make a difference in someone's life. There's no doubt.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I love listening to you, Peri. I love it. So a few more bullet points. Provide more service to more people and your income will improve.
Yeah. Well, everything is about service, isn't it? It's about offering a great service.
The more people you can reach and the more service you can provide. I mean, that's how Apple and Microsoft and all that. That's how they're huge, because they provided enough service for you and I to be in like 4-hour drive apart and still be able to have this conversation. So it's more service to more people. So that's where they get the money. So obviously we talk about this a lot, creating multiple sources of income. And the majority of your income is through property. Do you invest much into the sort of bullion market or Bitcoin or anything like that?
Gold, silver is definitely a market that I've been investing in for quite a few years. I know Kevin's obviously does it, but I'll have to give credit to my older brother who taught me that many, many years ago to invest in gold and silver, and he gave me the scenarios and the whys and all of that. So even back in 2003, I'd already had a few silver coins, a few gold coins, and that I'd bought because, of course, South Africa being back in the day one of the big plays when it came to gold. So yes, I definitely do. Plus, I do invest in one stock at the moment. So it's a stock, but it's a technology stock that I've really followed for years. And I've invested in that for a number of years. But I don't invest in loads of stocks.
No, but it's good. I mean, it's good to diversify. But for me, the property is the foundation of the investment investment portfolio. And then if you think about it, if you want to think about like a pyramid shape, the top bit will be the bit that you're prepared to lose. Like you might put into Bitcoin or a stock and go, well, if it goes well, great. But the foundation of that has got to be in bricks and mortar, as far as I'm concerned. So the other one I love, and particularly, I would say during COVID, it's been a time for us to be grateful for what we've got and almost like put a few dreams to one side while we wait to come out of this and then move on. Obviously it's opened up many doors with, tech and being able to communicate with Zoom and everything a lot more, but create your own economy.
Yeah. I mean, and that comes from also creating a good community around you. Do you know what I'm saying? If you've got a good community around you, you can create that economy. You can spin that in many different ways, I suppose. But I mean, create your own economy is a very powerful saying, and it's an action. That you also got to do, I suppose. But
I would say that not one successful person did it all on their own.
No, definitely
not one.
And that goes back to also your network is your net worth, isn't it? So, your network is your net worth. And, you got to also have good people around you. I mean, how I normally see myself, Mark, when I'm getting involved in bigger projects in the property side of things and doing developments and whatever I'm putting my hands into and doing bigger things, is I normally see myself, and in business, I see myself like the conductor of an orchestra. I normally see myself as that conductor. And then what is a conductor of an orchestra? Well, he doesn't know maybe how to play the clarinet, the flute, the drum, the guitar, but he does know who to bring in to play what tune so that overall we have a nice harmony. So he knows who to go to. He knows every single one to go to. And that's why he points and he knows, and they all come in. And it's a beautiful thing. Screws it up and it's not going to be a great harmony and it's going to be a flop. So the thing is, whatever you're doing in life is, you don't have to do everything yourself, but create a team, a network, a community around you that is going to enable you to grow and move forward and go to whoever you believe is the right person for whatever challenge to keep pushing you along. And you don't have to know everything, but know the people who do know that specific subject you need to know and go to them to rectify, resolve, to move yourself forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. Find someone. I've written here, success leaves clues. Find someone who's living the way you'd like to live and then copy them. And I've got a number of people in the Life Remixed coaching client group now. And we're just getting people buzzing and getting them excited and getting them into a position where they're in the right frame of mind to then press forward. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you, many more about those guys as well, Peri, because, you're very good at what you do. And I've got, ultimate respect for you. In fact, Diana's just given me a Peri Rocks. There you go. That's
Thanks,
nice.
Man. I appreciate it.
You'll get that one. You'll take that one.
I'll take that.
And then, so obviously, I read Kevin's book as well. The Rich Rules is a very interesting book, isn't it? Kevin Green wrote that book. It's very inspirational. And then the last one that we'll leave with there is a comment that I've just come up with myself because I really like it, which is investing in yourself is the ultimate self-love.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've invested thousands and thousands of pounds in myself. I used to think it's, listen, there are a lot of people out there, trying to make money on this and that and don't really care about you or whatever the case. If I was you starting out, you got to listen to your heart. Feel, would you want to work with that person? Because there's certain people who might be offering a fantastic service or a product and a service, but actually when you look at them and relate to them, you don't gel with them. You don't feel good about dealing with that person. So for me, it's about working with the right people. So if you're going to educate yourself or get educated with the right people. Get educated with people you feel like, well, actually, she's a great lady or he's a great man. And yes, they got some great information in their brain, I believe, but also, they also you need to relate to them. You need to be, because if you don't relate to someone, you're going to maybe struggle to learn from that person. And there's no point paying that person money if you're not going to relate to them and feel comfortable around them and believe them and trust them. So at the end of the day, I believe in education, definitely, the right education, to be quite honest with you. For example, I'd rather you invest in education to maybe get yourself into property or whatever than going to go in on some MBA master's degree where you're going to spend just as much money or more investing in that, and then might not even get a job, or you get a job earning 20 grand a year. Whereas, you invest the same money and put it into property, you could probably get that passive income coming from, about 4 deals type scenario. So, yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I believe in knowledge. I believe knowledge is power. You have to take action on that knowledge. But also, if you're investing your money with someone, you should feel comfortable with that someone and check them out and make sure they've got what they say they've got. That's for sure.
Yeah, and make sure they back it up and make sure you relate to them, as you say. I think it's very, very important. So, no, mate, listen, that's been amazing. I'm getting an awesome session, guys, and some love hearts. So that's nice as well, Peri. It has been really, really cool to have you here. I'm gonna let you know that my next guest in 2 weeks' time is Fatboy Slim.
Oh wow! How many music sessions I've danced to that guy is amazing.
Exactly. So Norman Cook's joining me on Wednesday the 16th in a couple of weeks' time. So make sure you join the stream and say hello, Peri, because I will definitely do that. Peri Sophos, Fatboy Slim. Here we go. It's all happening, mate. It's all happening. So
I think we should get together for a few drinks. I think
I'll have a word. He's got a few little funny little stories. He told me a couple on the.
Tell you what, tell Norman that I'll teach him how to invest in property. You teach me how to play the tunes.
Teach you how to DJ. All right, that seems like a fair spot. I'll have a chat with him, and I'll be the connector. But no, in all seriousness, mate, that's been really, really fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. I'm sure we had lots of value, lots of views from all over my 8 platforms. People will be watching this back on YouTube and all sorts of stuff, Peri. If you would stay exactly where you are, please, mate. I'll just say good night to everyone else. Thanks for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Peri and myself have really enjoyed having this conversation. Chapter 9 of Life Remixed is all about money and what I learned about it, and working with this guy and some other great guys. Buy the book, read it, and then reach out to me if you want to have a chat about anything, and I can always link you up with Peri in the future, so it's all good. So I'll love you and leave you, or we will love you and leave you, but thanks very much for all the comments, and good night, everyone.
Good night.